rebuilt the Wabi Thunder, in case you couldn't tell from the title of this video. And bike ride's pretty smooth. Not as fast as the other bikes I have with narrower, racier tires, but overall, pretty smooth. Brakes are a bit better. I always complained about the brake shutter in the front. It's a little bit better. Still happens sometimes, but much better. So at the start of this bike ride, I was riding straight into a headwind, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, this bike is a lot slower than my Wabi Classic. Maybe I shouldn't have, maybe I should have done something different with it, then rebuild it. But now that we're not in a headwind, I can feel it does pick up speed quite nicely. Speed. So yeah, rebuilt the Wabi Thunder. If you haven't watched my video, I stripped this bike of the handlebars, crankset, and seat, chain, and I rebuilt it with a spare pair of wheels into a sapphire blue Wabi Special. The reason was I just didn't really love the Wabi Thunder. I liked the way the Classic always rode, and instead of just letting the bike sit and collect dust, I wanted to repurpose it. So I'm very happy with my two Wabis, my Classic and my Special. This bike, this frame in particular, just sat behind one of my wardrobes, and the wheels too. So I had a frame set, I had a pair of wheels, but then as I started to think it through, I had an extra saddle, I had an extra seat post, not this one, this is a newer zip seat post because the stock one kept slipping. I had the wheels and the tires, so I had almost a complete bike, and I had a stem as well. All I needed to get was the crank set. I already had a chain, I already had this thing, the freewheel. I had the brakes. Queensboro Bridge right behind us. I had the brakes. I just needed to get the crank set, the handlebars, the brake levers. I had a stem. So for grand total of about $100, I was able to rebuild this bike. Figured why not? And I should mention new brake pads, clean the rims, not nearly as much brake shutter as before. The brakes still feel a little bit mushy and not great, but the pro of that is there's a lot of tire clearance right here, and the other pro is, depending on how you feel about this is a very controversial topic, pro or con. Pro in this case is they are rim brakes. Why is that a pro? Disc brakes are very good, and disc brakes are the superior system. However, sunshine right behind us. However, it always means that they're just more complicated. In the case of hydraulics, you're going to end up having to bleed them. They don't go wrong very much, but when they do, it's a lot more complicated than just a pair of cable cutters and then just running a cable. The other day, I actually was cleaning my Wabi Classic that I've been using as a commuter, and I just decided to throw new brakes in. I took the brakes calipers off. I threw new brake cables in. I did the front. I figured I did the rear. I figured I would do the rear, and then I just ended up cleaning the brakes. So I overhauled the whole braking system just with a pair of clippers and what was that tool that I have in my pocket, and Allen keys. Always wave thank you for when drivers let you go. Wave thank you. It humanizes you as a cyclist. And maybe someday we can all get along. But this is New York. That'll probably never happen. That's wishful thinking, and we know it. I forgot to mention the tires I'm using on this bike. They're Continental Grand Prix 5000 all-season tires in a size 32 millimeter width. So they don't spin up quite as fast as a 28 since there's more mass, so they don't accelerate as fast. But they do hold speed once they get going. Running them at 60 PSI, non-tubeless of course. I don't like tubeless. That is a hill that I'll die on. I'm rocking some I think Ride Now TPU tubes. I like TPU tubes, they are. Although I did just get a puncture on them first time on my other bike. And they were Tubolitos. They were the expensive ones. What I may do with this bike is run 35 millimeter gravel tires. Could run 40s, but I don't feel the need, honestly, to run super wide tires. Just a few years ago, 35 millimeter tires were big for gravel. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but you know, the trends just keep getting wider and wider. And 35 millimeter tires means I can still use these SKS Race Blade Pro XLs, which are only rated for 32, but 35s are good. And I'm still on the road most of the time, so narrower the better for me. 35 I think is plenty. Another good thing about this bike, having another option, is since it is a steel single speed bike under $1,000, it would make, for me personally, a great commuter bike. I've actually started to commute to work from Queens to Manhattan. Short ride. I take and lock up my Wabi Classic. I lock it up like crazy, and so far no issues at all. But that is, hold on, find a better way of doing this. So since I'm already locking up one of my other Wabis, having this one as well to potentially lock up is a big plus, because my only other options would be my Trectomani carbon road bike, which cannot lock that thing up for more than 5 minutes. It'll be gone in the blink of an eye. And I have an old felt aluminum road bike that I may do a couple things to in the coming months. Maybe I'll make it a winter product. But needless to say, what I'm trying to say here is that this bike is a great contender for a sort of commuter bike. You know, you got some beefy locks and you're okay. It's cheaper than a carbon bike and robust. It's all steel. There's no derailleurs to go out of whack. There's no disc brakes to get bent. It's just simple and it's cheap-ish depending on who you are, right? For me, it's a little bit more affordable, but I'm doing this. I'm a cyclist, you know. Most people wouldn't want to be riding around on a $1,000 bike. That's expensive, but it beats a city bike. I see a city bike over here. Versatile single speed. Yeah, these tires are nice. GP $5,000 season, 32 mil. Setup non-tubeless. What's this kid doing? Are there any other single speeders out there? I don't mean fixed gear. Fixed gear is a single speed, but anyone else like me that likes the simplicity of a single speed but likes that road bike feel, set up like a road bike just without a derailleur, rim brakes. I think it's just me and a guy, bike blogger, that used to film videos. I think he still does. I haven't watched him in a while. YouTube has changed so much in the past few years. Not necessarily in a good way. But I've come to appreciate single speed bikes. Harder to go up the hills, but you get used to it. It's like anything, right? You get used to it. Since this bike is a beautiful turquoise color, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb if you lock it up. I'm more comfortable locking up a dark colored bike, but that's just me. So I'm going to end it right here. I forgot to turn my lights on. I'm riding around without flashing lights, and I don't like doing that. I'm going to end it right here underneath this tree. Let me know if you want to know more about Wabi Thunder, or if you like single speed bikes, drop a comment down below. I answer to every single comment eventually. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.